what's up everybody? Welcome to today's video. So we are not out of winter yet. It's freaking cold, but we're in a shop again. And I kind of wanted to do a recap. So Chris B posted a video the other day about fletching arrows. There's a lot of good information in it. Chris is an outstanding archer and hunter. He's been in the game just as long as I have and anybody else has. He's got a lot of great information. And so if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. But with that, I'm also fletching some arrows up, and I kind of wanted to go over how I did it as well, and kind of add a little bit to what he done. So like I said, we're in the shop. We're going to get started on fletching some arrows. But there's one thing that I always do before I fletch arrows, and that is I'm going to stand up to the target. I'm going to put a mark on my arrow and shoot it and see which way my arrow is turning right now. So what I do first out of the gate is I'm going to take a bear shaft like this. Now what I'm doing is I usually take a whiteout marker. I don't have a whiteout marker with me. I lost it. But you can take a whiteout marker, anything you can, to put a dot on this arrow. So what I'm going to do is this arrow's got a little notch in the nock. So I'm going to stand up. I got my target literally point blank range, and I'm going to shoot into this target, and I'm going to see which way the arrow spins coming out of the bow. Now what that does is it just determines which way your arrow naturally rotates out of the bow. It's got to do with how your servant's twisted on your string. But whenever I fletch these arrows, this is going to be an important part, because you don't want your arrows fletched the opposite way that your arrow is naturally coming out of your bow, because it just makes it so much more forgiving of a setup to just fletch it with the natural rotation of the arrow, and it doesn't have to shoot, come out naturally, stop, and then turn the other way. Basically, it's knuckleball, and so it's just going to make it just that much more forgiving for you. At least that's what I've seen from me doing it. So we're going to load this arrow up, get my nock in there. Remember my little notch, and then we're going to shoot it and see what it does. Okay, so this goes to be about the same as every one of my arrows that I've shot. They all come out of the bow spinning to the left. So I want to fletch this with either a left offset or a left helical instead of a right offset or a right helical, because that little notch right there was turned to the right like this, and when it shot, it come out like that. So I want to fletch those with a left offset or a left helical on this arrow, and not right, so it actually spins with the natural rotation of the arrow when it first comes out of the bow. All right, so now that we're ready to start fletching, the fletching jig that I use is a Bitzenberger. Now there's a lot of jigs out there. There's an AAE jig, there's the boning fletching jig, and then I think Last Chance Archery's got one that's like $300 and some odd, but this one works good. I like it. I got full adjustment on it. I got my turn knobs for left and right offsets, and then I got 3 different fletching configurations that I can do in this. You got a 120 degree, a 90 degree, and then a 75 by 105. Your 120 degree is going to be your traditional 3 fletch. Your 90 degree is going to be your 90 degree traditional 4 fletch. It's got snow on it, like this right here. Traditional 90 degree 4 fletch. And then your 75 by 105 is also a 4 fletch, but it's a real tight together 4 fletch. And it just, I never really liked it, the 75 to 105. I usually stick between the 90 and the 120. And 9 times out of 10, I'm in a 4 fletch. For broadheads, for me, from what I've seen, it's a little bit more forgiving on broadheads, and I'll usually fletch in a 4 fletch. That way that I get just a couple extra grains. And sometimes I'll fletch in a 3 fletch. If I can get a 3 fletch and stick around my grainage of arrow that I want, then I'll leave it. If I want a little bit more extra grains, I'll usually add a wrap, or I will add another fletching on it. And that's the only reason that I do it. for that reason. But I got this. All my other ones are fletched in the 90-degree fletch. So that's what this is set up to, and that's what I'm going to fletch this to. But whenever you start, your Bitzenberger does have a little flat notch right there. Just make sure that flat notch is stuck in the same place every single time. Whenever you start, you have it in the same place for every single arrow. So you start every single arrow in the same spot. If not, then your orientation is going to be off just a little bit. If you do the 90 degree, it's not going to be as bad. But just keep that in mind. Just for general reference, just start with that flat notch at the same spot for every single arrow. And then before you fletch, you need to rub your arrow down with denatured alcohol. Just make sure the arrow shaft is clean. Then after about 10 seconds, you can take it, rotate it, and do the same thing. We'll go through and fletch the rest of these. I'll go ahead and put it in my mark, and then I will just put my next fletching up against the jig and make sure, see, now it's a little bit higher, so I need to slide it down. Put it on that mark, a little too much. Put it on that one right there. We need just a hair more. Hair more, take care of it. Looks good right there. Primer pen. One swipe. You don't need to swipe it a bunch. One quick swipe on it takes care of it. And then we get our thin bead of glue. Make sure that we're getting glue in that trough. Stuff it out. Put down. Roll forward. I'll hold it down there for a couple seconds. Everybody tells you ain't got to hold them down. I do, just to be safe. Just to be safe. And usually I'll keep a Q-tip. I ain't got one, but usually I'll keep a Q-tip and clean in between my veins. If you get a little bit of glue out, just get a Q-tip and just clean in between the veins on it, and you'll be all right. Ain't no big deal. So there we go. There's one arrow. Like I said, you can get a Q-tip. I'm just going to use my finger for this demonstration. But there we go. We have a nice 4-fletched arrow. Looks mint, looks good, clean job, and I really like this setup on this. But that's how I fletch my arrows. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. I do not like a lot of helical on my arrows. About a 3-degree left offset is what I like. It does just enough, gets enough spin on it, and it doesn't make it have like a parachute effect or anything like that. You can have too much spin on an arrow, and especially in the wind, it just has a big chain in it because it's using all of its energy to rotate instead of using all of its energy to go down in a straight line. So, but that's how I fletch my arrows. That's just a little bit more tips and tricks on how I do it and everything. So I hope you guys like the video. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section. I'll try to get to everybody. But I appreciate y'all, and I hope everybody stays warm. And turkey season's coming up, so I hope everybody has a good turkey season.